Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good wherever you are. Welcome to a sunny day in the Pacific Northwest. Um, a beautiful day actually. I had a direction I wanted to go today, but I decided to switch it up. Something in my soul is telling me to talk about vulnerability, so I'm going to talk about vulnerability today. I'm going to talk about it in three stages. The first stage, I want to talk responsibly. This is a subjective stance, maybe, but to me, vulnerability is a luxury. I don't think people should embrace vulnerability in a survival place. Survival's for survival. To suggest someone should be vulnerable in a survival place, well, coming from someone who was in a survival place, if someone would have preached that to me, an old version of myself, I might have had some unkind words for him. I think in a survival place, you should survive. And if you are surviving, my heart goes out to you. I wish you love, care, and out of that place as soon as possible. Um, you need abundance and affordability to make it out of a survival place to a thriving place. And in the thriving place is where I think vulnerability should be embraced. So, in stage one, if you're in a survival place, recommend building that abundance, recommend building that affordability so that you can have the luxury to take on um, well, more than what you're already having to take on. So, that is stage one. If you're not in that place, move to stage two. If you are in that place, Godspeed. I'll see you back when you're ready. You can clock out. Stage two. For me, stage two is people that have the affordability, the abundance to potentially be vulnerable. To me, the four domains are mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. I think you need to have that affordability and abundance in two or three, at least, of the domains, especially physical domain. You have to have that affordability and abundance. That's why New Year's resolutions fall off so quickly. Just taking the physical. You want to, do more workouts. You want to change the way your body looks. You want to lose weight. That's great. But you have to understand 99% of the population, if you do a workout, a really hard workout, you're not going to see any results, but feel twice as bad the next day. You put all that together. When you put all that together, that's a hard sell. Physically, you usually don't see changes until 6 weeks at least. Um, even results towards where you want to be, not even where the destination is. So yeah, you need that affordability and abundance. But if you feel like you have some of that and are ready to embrace being vulnerable, then I encourage you to do so. And you know where that is for you. You know that thing that you wanted to do, that thing that you wanted to try, embrace. Only you know that. But I would ask yourself this question: if I'm not going to do that now, I'm surviving instead. Where? Where are you surviving to not be able to take on that now? If you can't ask that, or if you can't answer that question, maybe it is time to embrace some vulnerability. I think there's two reasons why you want to. Um, Two drawbacks from not being vulnerable. Firstly, the debt accumulation. I don't know if you've ever put off doing a project or put off cleaning your room or put off whatever said thing is, but once you then decide to take it on or then decide to clean out that closet, the longer you've put it off, the bigger that project is, that bigger that work is. And I can't tell you how many people I've seen come through that I've done work with where they put it off for years and years and so long that by the time they're actually trying to embrace it all and confront it all, they're not riding a wave anymore. They're riding a tsunami. I can't even pretend, they're like, it's so much. I, I, I'm not, I don't know if I'm strong enough. And I'm looking at them like, take that on. I don't know if I could do that. It's a lot. So it is love to yourself, to a future version of yourself, to take it on if you can. The second reason you don't want to put it off, uh, if you can do something about it now. I mean, we all talk about it, we all internalize it. Walls that go up protects the city inside, but it also keeps everything valuable out as well. Valuable trade, valuable resources, valuable knowledge. Those walls that go up, the double-edged sword, there's a price to pay for it. Um, so if you are willing to be vulnerable, to take that journey, I do encourage you to do so. It's again a subjective experience, but for me, a lot of people in the world don't have a choice, an option on whether they get to be in a survival place or not. If you have the choice from being in a survival place or taking a chance on a thriving place, why not take it? That's stage 2. If you are in stage 2, I encourage you to ask yourself that question. Am I surviving? If I'm not, find that thing. That is stage 2. You can clock out. I very much encourage stage 1 and stage 2 to clock out at this time, maybe come back to this a month or whatever from now. Stage 3 is not going to benefit you any further. In fact, it might discourage you. I'm going to talk about stage 3. I think stage 4 is actually realizing the vulnerability actually paying off. And these are a lot of the people you see talk about it. They talk about it excitedly, like, go for it, just do it. They talk about it in a stage where it's paid off for them. I'm not going to talk about stage 4. I'm going to talk about stage 3, actually being in the process of doing something hard, doing something vulnerable, because I feel like that is the missing testimony. I have stage 4 too. I have places that I've been vulnerable months ago, years ago, that now have paid off, and I'm seeing dividends from, and I'm seeing results from, and I can talk about that excitedly. But again, I don't think it's going to completely be honest and do justice. So again, stage 1, stage 2, you've clocked out now, right? Don't be chaos chasers. Don't do it for the plot. God, do it for the plot. I respect it, but don't. Curiosity. No, this is for people who have started being vulnerable, who have started this process, but it's hard. I think that's really who this video, I mean, for the other 2 stages too, but that's really who I wanted to speak to, I think, today. And no better way to talk about a vulnerable video than being vulnerable myself. I am in stage 3 right now, in the midst of it. I just moved to Seattle some months ago. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't find escape in people, I don't take any external validation in. I've done all that. I'm not speaking from a pedestal. I've done it for the plot. I had fun times in Austin, Texas. But right now, the work I do towards my goals and the things I'm trying to achieve, I'll be honest with you, it's a pretty lonely existence. I spend the majority of my time alone. It won't be like that all the time. It won't be like that forever. I know, again, all of this work I'm doing now is going to pay off for me eventually. But it's lonely. It's it's uh it's not glorious. There is not a cheering section. I mean, these videos that I do, this is just a metaphor for how I live my life. I do way harder things than this, put myself way out there more in other ways than this. And there's, like I said, being vulnerable, there's not a big payoff immediately. So it's a lot and it's hard. And for me to say differently, I feel like would be a lie. It would be misleading. There's a reason you shouldn't be vulnerable in a survival place, because being vulnerable, even in a thriving place, feels like survival. It feels like the worst pitch of all time. Feels like the worst pitch for all time for being vulnerable. But let me tell you what I am. Let me tell you what I am. I am not afraid. I'm not afraid. I think that is the real trade-off here. I think I've posted like 2 previous videos that got 0 views. I might post these for a year and they might all get 0 views or 1 or 2. I'm not afraid of that. But at the end of my life, I'll just have less regrets. And on the flip side, if these get thousands or hundreds of thousands of views, I'm not afraid of that either. And then all of a sudden I have to live up to a standard, or I have to represent something. I'm not afraid of success either. I already live that way. There's no big role for me to adjust to. I'm not afraid of failure. I'm not afraid of success. I mean, you see a cool backdrop around me, but you know, in the back of my head when I started these, I'm surrounded by a bunch of people, a bunch of boats. There could be people listening in boats laughing at me. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not afraid. Again, this is not the hardest thing I do in life. I'm not afraid out there either. And I think that's a big statement. That's something that should resonate. How many people live their life in fear? Have to be with a person because I'm afraid of being alone. I have to do a thing because I'm afraid of not being worthwhile. How much does fear run our lives? No, there's no glory yet to this journey for me, but I'm free. I'm not afraid. I'm not comfortable, but I'm not afraid. And that already alone is a beautiful gift. That alone is why I recommend taking that vulnerability journey, because if fear doesn't have to lead your life, if fear doesn't lead a life for you, that means it's truly yours. And that's all I have to say today.